Hey, well, it's been a while since we've done a video, so have some patience with me. I thought we'd start with something easy and kind of help me try to get back into the rhythm. So I was asked, how do I make biscuits? Today we're going to make some cheese biscuits. Let's get busy. We're going to start things off by preheating to 400 degrees. So I've got all-purpose flour. I buy unbleached, organic, all-purpose flour. You can get it pretty much anywhere. I do like the Kirkland brand, and that's what I'm using today. For those of you who don't know, the Kirkland brand comes from Costco, and I can buy it in great big bags to fill my great big jar. To that, we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. Don't forget this step. Forgetting the salt in your biscuits is probably one of the biggest disappointments you'll ever have to deal with. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Now, we're going to stir this together to make sure that it's mixed up just right before we add anything else. The best thing for that is a whisk. So we're going to get in here and we're just going to whip this around a little bit and make sure that the salt and the baking powder are all in there all the way through. Now, if you're using self-rising flour, then you're just going to use 2 cups of self-rising flour. I don't buy self-rising flour anymore because all-purpose is very versatile. I can do anything with it. And now that I have self-rising flour, there's just no reason for me to spend that extra money on something else to have to store in my pantry. About a 1/2 cup of shortening. If you don't want to use vegetable shortening, you can use a stick of butter. You do you. Now I'm just going to take a fork. Y'all know that's my weapon of choice. And I'm going to go in here and I'm just mashing that Crisco in. I'm going to work it out until there are no big clumps and it looks kind of crumbly. Don't spill your coffee. See? Crumbly. Crumbly. That's what you need right there. I prefer sharp cheddar in my biscuits. You don't have to add cheese, but I like cheese. Now I'm just going to use my fork and stir that around. See there? It's going to take about at least 3/4 cup of buttermilk. But instead of worrying about a measurement, I'm going to show you what you look for. So we're going to kind of dig a hole in the middle. We're going to pour a little bit of buttermilk in that hole. Okay? We're going to use our fork and we're just going to start working that flour in, stirring it around. Our biscuit mix is going to start working it into that buttermilk. And then we're going to keep going, add a little and stir until we get it all into a loose dough. Books don't measure a whole lot. We just dump and run. That's what we do. Just a little bit and keep going. I've got a dough. I'm going to keep working it around until I get all the rest of that flour in there. Now, here's where the magic happens. We're going to take just a little bit of flour. I'm going to lightly flour this board. Biscuit dough right here in the middle of that. Right? Okay. Now, if you don't like for your hands to get messy, here's where you put some gloves on. If you don't care, then first you make sure your hands are clean, which mine are, and you're going to pat them in this flour, rub a little bit to make sure your hands are good and dry. Now we're going to pat and pat, pat and turn, because we want just a light coating of flour all the way around this dough ball. We're just going to kind of bounce it around until we get a nice coating of flour, okay? Remember when your mom said, don't play with your food? This does not apply to making biscuits. You get to play with the biscuits. Start to get sticky, you're going to add a little bit more flour. okay? Not a lot. We don't want to dry it out too much. But now that we've kind of got it into a workable dough, okay? See? It holds its shape. We're going to make it round, and then we're going to start flattening it out. Now, I prefer to have this about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. Depends on how big you want your biscuits to be. There it is. If you don't have a biscuit cutter, you can use a jar. Now, the smallmouth jars make enough, they make regular size biscuits. If you use a wide mouth jar, you're going to make cat head biscuits. Regular biscuits, cat head biscuits. Now, we're going to take whatever you're cutting your biscuits with, you're going to run it in just a little bit of flour, take it to the edge, and mash. Give it a turn and lift. Now, I'm just going to pop that right out. See that biscuit? That's a nice biscuit. Now, my pan is greased. I'm going to set it in there. When you're placing your biscuits in your pan, the closer they are, the softer your edges are going to be after they're baked. 9 biscuits. Just get them in here however you can. If you want them to have crunchier edges, use a bigger pan, spread them out a little more. Softened butter. Doesn't have to be softened, you use cold butter, I don't care. But you're going to put just a little bit of butter on the top of each one of these biscuits. And the heat is going to melt that butter, and it's going to coat that biscuit. All right, we're done. Is you need to at least flip them over. Don't leave them like this in the pan or they'll stick to the bottom. Now, I'm just going to use this really thin spatula because that's what I prefer to use. And I'm going to go just right around the edge and make sure nothing's stuck. Or you can flip them out on a board and go ahead and serve them. Now, see how the bottoms are nice and pretty and golden? We're just going to pull this one out for you to be able to see it. See? How about that? Look at all that yummy cheese in there. Thing is when you've got just a simple meal, you can throw some cheese biscuits in it and all of a sudden it's special. So, I'm gonna make you some cheese biscuits. I'll have that recipe for you on the website. Just click the link that's in the post. And, oh yeah, that's yummy. Y'all be sweet.